So let's talk about the modern lab. These days, everything's going digital, right? And that's awesome. I mean, it promises incredible speed, amazing precision. But, and this is a big but, it also cracks open the door to a whole new set of really complex risks. So yeah, let's get into it.
Just so you know where all this is coming from, everything we're about to cover is pulled directly from a pretty major technical report by Eurolab. And yeah, that stands for the European Federation of National Associations of Measurement, Testing, and Analytical Laboratories. Bit of a mouthful. We've basically taken almost 100 pages of super dense expert advice and boiled it down to the key things you absolutely need to know. Which, brings us to the central question here, really. Your lab is digital, great, but is it trustworthy? I mean, it's one thing to have all the fancy new gear, but how do you really know that the results it's spitting out, the stuff your entire reputation is built on, are reliable and secure and actually valid? So this is really the heart of the matter, isn't it? The promise versus the peril. On one side, you've got this incredible promise: faster communication, better efficiency, fewer human errors, even enhanced safety. It's a game changer. But then there's the other side of the coin, the peril. We're talking about things like cyber attacks, catastrophic data loss, and churning out totally invalid results. And maybe the scariest one of all, losing your accreditation. This isn't just theory, The stakes are, well, they're incredibly high. And all of this puts us right in the middle of what we can call the digital lab dilemma. It's really the core challenge that pretty much every modern lab is facing right now. See, the thing is, this challenge isn't just about technology. It's not about buying the right box or installing the right software. It's way deeper than that. This is all about maintaining trust in your results. At the end of the day, it's about integrity. Can your clients, can regulators, can you trust the data coming out of your systems? That's the real question. Okay, so how do we tackle this? How do we solve the dilemma? Well, the Eurolab report proposes a really powerful shift in how we look at this whole thing. It says instead of just, checking boxes and following rules, we need to start thinking in terms of risk. And the core of that approach, it's something called risk assessment. Now, the official definition is the overall process of risk identification, risk analysis, and risk evaluation. But what does that actually mean? Well, simply put, it's about systematically looking for what could go wrong, figuring out how likely it is to happen, and how bad the damage would be, and then, this is the important part, deciding what you're going to do about it. And this is a really key point. The main standard for labs, ISO/IEC 17025, it doesn't actually demand a super rigid checklist. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. It's really pushing for a flexible, risk-based mindset. It's about developing a way of thinking that lets every single lab customize its approach to fit its own unique systems. It's about being smart, not just ticking boxes to be compliant. So how do you actually put that mindset into practice? Well, here's a really clear 4-step process to get you started. First, you define your classes. So you group your systems by similar risk levels, like high risk, medium risk, low risk. Step 2, you define the controls. For each of those classes, you figure out the specific actions you need to take to lower the risk. Then, step 3 is to attribute the class. You go through and assign every single computer system you have to one of those risk classes. And finally, step 4, you apply the controls. You just systematically roll out the plan you made. It's a super methodical way to get a handle on all that complexity. All right, so we've got a framework. That's a great start. But let's get a little more specific. What exactly are we defending against? What are the biggest threats out there to your lab's data? And to make this real, let's actually picture these threats as intruders. Yeah, intruders trying to break into your lab's fortress of data. Some of them are the obvious bad guys, but others, they're way more subtle. First up, let's talk about the external attacks. This is threat group 1. You've got your classic cyber attacks, right? Ransomware that holds your data hostage, phishing emails trying to trick your team into giving up their passwords. But it's also insider attacks, which, by the way, could be someone with bad intentions, or it could be a totally honest mistake. And here's a big one people often overlook: service discontinuation. Think about it. We put so much trust in our cloud providers. But what if they go bankrupt? Or what if they just decide to stop supporting the service you rely on? Poof, your data could be gone, just like that. Okay, threat group 2. Internal failures. These are the threats that come from inside the lab, and they can be deceptively simple, like someone just using a system with the wrong settings and suddenly all the results are invalid. Or how about skill loss?
That expert who knows how everything works, they leave, and all that crucial knowledge just walks right out the door with them. Or maybe it's unexpected behavior from, I don't know, that ancient custom-built spreadsheet that's been running for a decade. And of course, there's just plain old physical failure. Hardware gets old, it wears out, it breaks. So, we've met the intruders. We know who's trying to get in. Now, how do we defend the fortress? It's time to open up the digital toolkit and see what we've got.
This table lays it out perfectly, connecting the threats to our defenses. A cyber attack comes knocking, you fight back with tight access controls and solid backups. That way you keep them out, and if they do get in, you can recover. Worried about improper use? You need documented procedures, so everyone does things the right way every time. Physical failure? That's where planned maintenance comes in. You catch problems before they happen. And that scary scenario where your cloud provider disappears? The defense is on-premises backups. That's a copy of your data, right there in your own building, totally under your control. See? For every threat, there's a defense.
And you know, one of the most powerful tools in this entire toolkit is the audit trail. It's absolutely crucial. The report puts it this way. It helps you reconstruct the history of any event. Basically, it answers the who, what, when, and why for any action taken on your data. Who changed it? What did they change? When did they do it, and why? Without an audit trail, you're honestly just flying blind. But wait, there's more in the arsenal. You've got other essential tools too, like user requirements, which is just a fancy way of saying you need to clearly define what a system must do before you even think about buying it. Then there's acceptance testing. Think of it like a final dress rehearsal for any new system to make sure it actually works in your lab, not just in a sales demo. You also need solid change control to manage updates. And maybe most importantly, personnel training. You got to make sure your team has the skills to use everything correctly and securely. So when you start putting all these pieces together, all these tools and ideas, that's how you make the leap. That's how you go from just being a digital lab to being a truly trustworthy lab. All right, if you take away just 3 things from all this, let it be these. Number 1, think in risks, not just rules. It's a mindset shift. Number 2, document everything. Your digital processes, your systems, get it all down on paper. And number 3, empower your people. Your team needs the right knowledge and training because at the end of the day, the tech is only as good as the people using it. And that's because, ultimately, a well-managed digital lab isn't just about being efficient. It's about something so much more important. It becomes that fortress we talked about, a fortress of trustworthy data. And that, right there, is the bedrock of all science.
So I'll leave you with this one final question to chew on. As labs become more and more autonomous, we're talking about full-on automation. Who is ultimately responsible? When a machine makes a call, when an algorithm produces a result, where does the buck stop? Who's on the hook for the integrity of that data? That's a huge question, and one we're all going to have to figure out. Thanks for joining me.